Hi Aquarius, this is your March astrology for all Aquarius signs. Um, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. but I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying really fast for all the new people that are starting to come into their spiritual path, spiritual direction. Whether they know astrology, they don't know astrology, stumbling onto this. I'm having a lot of people who are more or less like, if you're a Sun Aquarius, then you already know what you are, but not everybody knows what their moon or their rising sign is. And if you don't know what that is, because I tell everybody, check out all three readings because it helps give you a better, well-rounded understanding of what's going on. But if you don't know what that is, you can always Google that information and they'll typically give you a chart. They may not go over everything with you. And if you are interested, I can always do your astrology readings. You can go to the description box below and book your own appointments. But if that's not what you want, you just want to have a clue of what it is and then start following it that way, that's fine too. So I tell everybody, if you know what it is, great. If you don't, Google it, and at least that way you can understand what the sun, the moon, the rising signs are and have a better understanding of where you're going with that. Now, with that being said, if you're a sun or a rising Aquarius, then we're mainly talking about your core energies and the houses that I'm going to be discussing. If you are a moon Aquarius, then we're talking more about your emotional depth and your subconscious becoming conscious. As well as if you're a Venus Aquarius, then I'm talking more about your sensitivities and whether that's working for you or against you within the areas and the houses that are being targeted. As we walk through the information, I am getting some solar plexus, heart chakra. I don't want to say issues, but I feel like it's, if you're doing your work right, this is coming into a healing, a new level of identification of soulfulness and where that's taking you. But if not, this is feeling, aggressive and frustrating. Well, it depends on where you are on your path, but this is the ascendant learning how to grow. You are definitely coming into more self-motivated energies and actions, more self-assertive energy, especially in your extroverted or professional outer material world, by connecting deeper with your personal identity and coming into a new level of accepting yourself, your growth, your spiritual maturity, and will. What you choose to will from it. But it is definitely some self-judgment within all of this as you learn to grow. It is an ascension time, bringing you new wisdom and learning how to take action and trust that solar plexus and that heart chakra to transcend, transform, because I'm getting Scorpio energy. I'm getting like the skull. And for me, that would mean birth, death, rebirth, reincarnation, strengthening you all the way through. Which ultimately is your inner emotional security, tapping into that, bringing it stronger within you, believing in you, and then strengthening your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. You are going through a lot of stuff in your 12th house and your 6th house, especially over the next month and a half, approximately. because the North Node and the South Node, Rahu and Ketu, are about to shift into new signs. So they're running out of time of making sure that they've been able to get their messages through to you, and they won't be back for another almost 13 years. I believe they shift in like a month and a half. So they're really running out of time of going, yo, this is what I've been trying to teach you. Are you getting it? And a lot of that self-awareness, inner emotional security, self-communication, learning how to bring that solar plexus into that I am energy, an I can energy, I will energy, into a stronger connection. Not even a stronger connection. Rising higher than what you may have originally expected that you were capable of. It's a new level of self-realization for a reincarnation, strengthening the soulfulness of you. But you're definitely going through some self-judgment, some universal 12th house in order to do that. So you're digging into those skeletons in the closet, some of your own self-sacrifice, your own self-undoing. The unconscious mind is becoming conscious and showing you where you've collected the bad habits and it's time to change them, and why you hold on to them and are comfortable with them while it's not serving you, but what you need to learn. But I do feel overwhelmed for some of you, even frustrated. But I just heard the devil's in the details. And that could be coming out of the Mercury retrograde and being in shadow for most of March, because Mercury comes out of retrograde on the full moon. On the 9th of March is when it goes direct, and it will be in your sign, in your first house, but then it's going to go back into your 12th house again. And then eventually it will go ahead and... Is that? No, that's wrong. It'll be, it's in your first house going back into your second house. So it started in your second house, went into your first house, went back to your second house, Mercury retrograde, which is going to be all about your self-awareness within your own spiritual and soulful growth, your own personality, your own character, your own image, how you see yourself, and strengthening, showing you or picking at where you are not working on your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Definitely communication with self-judgment that might be affecting the third eye with how you envision yourself. And for some of you, that's making you see a larger truth. And for some of you, because you have some 12th house issues, it's getting past some denials and making changes. Because like I said, I'm getting the scorpionic energy. So that's having to do with shifting and changing in general. Reincarnation, rebirthing. A lot of this has to do with trusting that solar plexus and that heart chakra to come together. Allow it to illuminate the third eye so that you can trust in it. You can trust in it without having to analyze it and have it be, just like so. All right, let me get into... Yeah, they're saying it has to do with coming from the material world, that third dimensional world, into those higher dimensions and finding the higher dimensions and their unconditional love versus the ideal of the third dimensional. And you're learning how to really do that or come into that energy on a much more powerful level. You have the full moon that's going to take place on the 9th. I'm sorry, let me first start off. Venus is going to enter Taurus on the 4th, Mercury enters your sign also on the 4th. It will go direct on the 9th in your sign, but it is also going to have the full moon in Virgo on the 9th. Very sensitive time. Then on the 16th, Mercury is going to move back into Pisces, your second house. On the 19th, the sun is going to enter Aries, so it will no longer be Pisces season. On the 21st, Saturn is entering your sign. This is not going to be here for long. This is going to be a temporary amount of time. Saturn is coming in, looking at what's going on, making some adjustments in your self-awareness and what have you learned. Then it's going to retrograde back to that 12th house again and go, so what do I have to work on to get you ahead by the time I move back into Aquarius for good for the next 2 years? Okay? So I'm giving you a heads up that it's going to be reassessing your personality, your character, your appearance, your view, your core. And then it's going to go back and go, okay, well, what do we still have to clean up before we come back and really work on rules, walls, boundaries, on really addressing the foundation of the core of the self-awareness by getting into the depths of what you're in denial over. On the 24th, you're going to have the new moon take place in Aries, and on the 30th, Mars moves into Aquarius, bringing extra passion, action, aggression, extra fire into your actual self-awareness and core energy. You have Lilith and Chiron are going to be within 5 degrees of each other almost the whole month, if not the whole month. And they're definitely having some conversations. That for you is what, the 3rd house? Yeah, that's your 3rd house, which is your communication and learning how you're not communicating well or where you're afraid to communicate. Because Chiron's the wounded healer speaking to you about what you haven't been doing well. And whether this is in the 3-dimensional world and the material world, or if it's spiritually and connected to yourself or source. Either way, communication is communication. And Spirit was saying the devil is in the details of paying attention to things. But also the devil in the details could be partially the devil card, so to speak, and it could be saying, so what are you picking apart and it's not serving you? So this is asking you, where is it self-sacrifice, self-deception, self-manipulation in the communication versus where is the communication healthy? It's like I said, communication's in shadow. Even though it's your 2nd house that it'll be going through shadow. But communication is your 3rd house, Chiron and Lilith. Asking you, where's that communication working for you and where has it not worked well for you? You also have Ura, Haumea, and Make all in Libra, which we'll get to, because that has a direct conversation going on with Chiron and Lilith. Then you have Vista, which is also going to move into Mars on the 21st, the same day Saturn moves into your energy. This month is all about breaking bad habits. Bad habits, soulful habits, bad thinking habits, and putting them to rest, putting the dead to the dead and getting on with things so that they won't be with us anymore. Your very first house has Sirius in it. You won't be seeing Saturn or Mars until the end of the month enter your energy, because technically they're in your 12th house, asking you where you aren't setting the proper rules, walls, and boundaries for making the changes of your true self-awareness, your personality, your character, your core, your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. Where have you not put that proper rules, walls, and boundaries in action that work for you, or where do they need to shift so that they can? By looking at where you've actually caused yourself some destruction, your own demise in some areas. and where you still hold on to grief, sorrow, shame, denial. And we're taking a look at that. Now, Ceres is the threefold theory. She's also too close to home, and she's nurturing. So she's asking you, where are you nurturing yourself healthy? Or where are you neglecting yourself because of that 12th house? As well as those self-worth, self-value, self-esteem issues. Where are you holding on to your insecurities? Because truthfully, your insecurities make you feel secure, because otherwise you have to address your insecurities so that you can heal them. So where are you holding on to those insecurities that are actually working against you instead of working for you? Ceres is saying, here's the threefold. This is the brand new beginning for you. Are you nurturing again? I mean, are you neglecting again? Or are you nurturing as we move forward? And then as Saturn and Mars come in, it's going to be asking you, you're ready to take action come the end of the month. So it's assessing the situation for the most part. Your second house is where Mercury has been in retrograde, but this is also speaking about yourself with self-value, self-esteem, ruled also by Neptune. Now, Neptune is our magic, and it only is filled with the free will. We choose to will it. So this is asking again about those insecurities. Are you strengthening your insecurities of your worth, your value, and your self-esteem by holding on to those insecurities? Or are you actually starting to create that magic and that proper communication by seeing where you've neglected it and making changes to correct it? And if you're going in that direction, then the threefold is going to work out positively for you, even if you haven't fully gotten it, on point. But it's about making sure that you're not going down the same road again, more or less. Your third house is the communication house. It is definitely, okay, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. Your third and your ninth house are having a conversation. Chiron, Lilith, within 5 degrees of each other, and Venus is coming through that. No, the sun is coming through that. So it's definitely illuminating that communication. And it's going to be doing it pretty much in the smack middle of the month. A little bit coming closer to the end of the month. So actually, as you're coming into the end of the month, when Saturn moves into your sign, you're going to be noticing it more and more. But it's asking you about the communication that you have with yourself, and where do you not trust in your higher self to lead you? Where do you trust more in what the world has taught you, what you've seen, how this three-dimensional world has reacted all of your life, and you've become comfortable with the way that has been, even though you know there's shifting that has to happen? Because I feel this communication is more with yourself than other people, but I feel like this is a connection that you have to get with your own source, with your own core, with your own higher self. And that's a spiritual connection, asking you, to really tap into that psychic energy, that spiritual connection, that vision, that higher mind, your soulfulness, your spiritual urges, your intuition, your gut feeling. And are you really trusting in that? And if you're not, why? What is it that makes you fear it? Because that's going to have a lot to do with the conversation healing and moving forward, or continuing down the same cycle. Always question why you fear something, because that's facing the fear. Because 90% of the time, there's really nothing to fear other than we're more comfortable with the insecurity, because the change is something scary and we don't know what that is. Even for you Aquariuses, you want to learn, but you want it also in concrete, so that it's scientifically shown and proven. When it comes to the spiritual, nothing is scientific. That has to do with faith. Okay, now as you come into your fourth house, This is where actually Uranus and Venus is, as well as Vista until the end of the month. Uranus is your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, and freedom. And Taurus is also speaking to you about your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. This is your fourth house, your inner emotional security, getting to the true deep roots of that soulfulness, the karmic lessons being learned so the reincarnation can happen, inner emotional security, tapping into the inner child, tapping into the home, the personal foundation, and finding strength in that personal foundation. But that's going to go all the way back to your soulfulness. Self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. It's going to also go all the way back to the rooting of your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, expressing that, feeling that you can trust that solar plexus, sacral chakra also, and that how you feel about yourself, because that's Vista with the soul fire, asking you, do you trust in your fire? Can you keep your own fires burning to believe in yourself? And Venus is sensitivities. So she's going to be either pointing out where you should be feeling comfortable and good and patting yourself on the back, or where are those insecurities really making you question and wanting to run away from your own truths. Okay, now as you get into the fifth house, you don't have anything going on here until Vista moves in. And that is just going to be Vista, the soul fire, going, are you connecting with what you enjoy? Are you connecting with the pursuit of pleasure, with what you enjoy in life? It's the things that make you tick, that make you want to continue living, that make you want to be part of life and part of things. If you was a guitarist and you're so busy doing all of these other things that you never get to have fun and play the guitar, why is that? This is saying this is your life, your fire, your chance, your experience. It's not saying that you shouldn't have love for other people or help for other people, but if they're keeping you from having time for your own fun, your own enjoyment, your own creativity, experiencing and exploring you, and being able to breathe in your own fire, then there's a problem. And Vista is going to be bringing that out, but she's not going to be bringing it out to the end of the month and then into next month. Your sixth house is where the North Node is leaving in a month or two. And this is your health, your diet, your service, your hygiene, but it's also your work. It's also your work, your ability to work, your daily, everyday, mundane tasks. And your daily, everyday, mundane tasks are never mundane. The people, places, and things that you incorporate in your life every day of those daily routines of what you feel is mundane is actually such a powerful, pivotal energy. And this is asking you, those people, places, and things and routines, are they nurturing you? Are they nurturing those, you expressing yourself, you being able to create and believe in yourself? Because when you can, then you're expressing your inner emotional security, your personal foundation, which then brings your communication to yourself back to a strength, and then ultimately brings you back to self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, threefold, all the way back to inner emotional security and self-awareness. And if those daily routines, from the diet, the healthcare, the people, places, and things that you do are not supporting you getting right with you and your soulfulness, then they're routines that need to be changed. It's that simple. But they are also questioning, where do you keep doing the same things that don't serve you? Because the South Node is in that 12th house with Mars, with Saturn, with Venus, with Pluto, and Pallas, trying to communicate to you, well, I can keep doing the same things the same old way, because that's the devil card. It's instead of paying the karmic debt and healing the situation, it's becoming comfortable with jailing yourself into the denial of that and telling those insecurities that that's okay. And it's acceptable because it always has been, but it never was. This is telling yourself to get right with that inner healing that's keeping you from that inner emotional security, from your self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. This is strengthening you from the root chakra up, but directly actually in the sacral chakra, the solar plexus, and the heart chakra, directly strengthening that. But they're going to shift in about 2 more months to the 7th house and the 1st house. So, like I said, you're running out of time to make sure that you've learned the lesson about it nurturing you in such a proper way. Or are you neglecting the situation? And are you viewing things right to set the new rules, walls, boundaries so they work for you and not against you? And this is the conversation you're going to be acknowledging all month and trying to break mental bad habits. Now, the main thing you have to look at is, like I said, on the 9th, you have the full moon in Virgo. Let me go all the way back here. Take a good look at what I see here. That's your 8th house. The full moon, 8th house, Mercury goes direct. Same day, moving into your sign. The sun is sitting on top of Neptune, and it's also having a question with your inner emotional security. So something about these relationships, anything you care about, you have a relationship with, something about these relationships is going to bring a red flag of alarming you, of are you doing this right within that inner emotional security, overcoming those insecurities? Are you letting somebody push you around and they're not actually supporting your soulfulness, but their own? And that's okay if someone is supporting their own soulfulness, but that doesn't mean they should be taking away from yours, or that you should be giving your fire to them. Because what you have going on here is the moon is not getting along with Uranus or Venus in your 4th house, your inner emotional security, your personal foundations, the roots of who and what you are, that karmic reincarnation. Is also not getting along with your 2nd house, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, the shape-shifting of that, and coming back over, like I said, to that 8th house. So your key here is, are these situations, these relationships, fair and just and balanced? Or are you allowing something else to be ahead of you? It's never about being more important, but it's about not being less. You're just as important as everybody else, and you deserve the balance just as much as everybody else does, which means you need to make sure you're setting the proper rules, walls, and boundaries, but make sure that you're not taking more, but you're also not allowing them to be taken. So joint efforts, joint resources, joint finances for proper transformation within these relationships. Now you have the the new moon at the end of the month, which is going to be in Aries. And you're going to have Lilith, the moon, Chiron, and the sun on that new moon, all speaking to Libra. And this is how Maya, make, Yura, your higher self, the very collective consciousness going, are you listening? This is your inner communication, your inner higher self, your inner source energy saying, are you tapping into what I'm trying to change, what I'm trying to help you with, or are you stuck in your old ways? This is the collective consciousness, the sacrifice and the commitment to your own spiritual truths, trusting in your intuition, trusting in your psychic energy, sticking with what the spiritual tells you is the right ethics and morals? And are you communicating well with yourself? Are you listening? Because if you're listening, that new moon's giving you a new direction and helping you find that reincarnation for you to be setting for the next, 2 years. It all depends on if you're listening. I love you guys. Bye.